friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name is Tanya, and I think I've done a video on this before, but we're going to do another one because it's a different amount. So we're making apple butter today, and I just went to the market earlier and remembered while I was there that I'm low on apple butter. Need to get some more going. So this is what I bought, a 3-pound bag of organic apples. Most of the time I use Fuji apples. They're just my favorite. To me, they just taste better than any other apple out there. Granny Smiths are known for their tartness, so if you like a really tart apple butter, go for the Granny Smiths. If you like Honeycrisp, if you think that's the best apple, by all means go for that. But I've also combined Granny Smith, Fuji, and Honeycrisp together, and they made a fabulous apple butter. Now the difference in this apple butter and one that you probably get from the store or you've eaten before is this one contains no sugar, or it's going to. Right now it's just apples in here. We're going to sweeten this with a little bit of honey. You could use date syrup if you wanted to, or even maple syrup, and it is beyond fabulous. I've given this as gifts before in little jars to people, and they just kind of, you know, it's not that they're not grateful, it's just they don't get too excited about it. Then they call me about 2 days later and go, what was in that apple butter? That's the best apple butter I've ever had in my life. I'm not really a fan of apple butter, but we're going nuts over this. My kids are fighting over it. It's so good. And when I tell them there's no processed sugar in it, they get so pumped. So needless to say, we send the recipe quite often. So I have my slow cooker right here. I have my 3 pounds of apples in it, and all I did was just quarter them. Don't peel them, just cut the center out. You don't want apple seeds in anything because that would not be a good idea. Apple seeds are not something that you need to be eating. I'm going to turn this on high at first, and then after I can see that it gets really hot, I'm going to go ahead and turn it down on low. We're going to cook this until the apples get really, really soft, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to add to this to give it such incredibly good flavor. Now, I love eating apple butter on a hot biscuit or hot buttered toast, especially sourdough toast, but my husband loves apple butter on French toast. Don't ask me why. He bypasses the syrup thing, and he grew up eating it on French toast, and that's all fine and good. It's still a better option than actually syrup. So, unless it's maple syrup, that's good stuff too. So we'll come back in just a bit. This may take a few hours, so we'll be back later, and I'll show you what we're going to add to this to make it so fabulous. Okay, we're continuing on with our apple butter. And this has been, actually, I turned it on high and then I turned it down low for a while, and I thought, you know what? It's cool enough outside to where it's cooling the house down, and I'm just going to leave it on high. So it's been on high for probably at least 5 hours, I'd say. Maybe 5 hours. So anyway, let's continue on with this. Our apples are soft enough to where I can pierce them with a knife okay. They're not super mushy, but I gotta figure out a place to lay down this lid because it's hot. All right, so what we're gonna add to this, now keep in mind I had about 12 to 15 apples in here. We are gonna put about 2/3 of a teaspoon of salt. This is a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I'm gonna put just a little more than that. And I know you're probably thinking, ooh, that's awful salty, but trust me when I say that's actually the key to it being the right amount of sweetness is that amount of salt. Not sure why, but it tastes more like an apple pie when you put that much salt in there. Okay, a 1/2 teaspoon of fresh nutmeg. If you don't know what a nutmeg looks like, it kind of looks like a pecan without the stripes. So I have my rasp that has a shield on the back of it where it collects whatever I grate. So we'll get about 1/2 teaspoon. Luckily I can see through this and I can see about how much I'm getting in there. Okay, that looks about like a 1/2 teaspoon there. Close to it. And I can always adjust. I can always add more, but I can't add less. So we'll just say that's enough for now, and I'll leave it out to remind myself that I might need more. A 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, or I'm sorry, ground cloves. This is not ginger. And this is a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I need a level one of these. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And I buy Ceylon cinnamon. There's several different kinds. And I buy organic Ceylon cinnamon from our local Good Measure Market. This is about ½ teaspoon of grated ginger in here. And I grate ginger and I put it in a little bag in the freezer because I add it to all kinds of things. And once I started using fresh ginger, I probably won't ever go back to powdered because it just has no taste to it. It's like it's worn out. Can't do anything. Okay, ½ teaspoon of allspice. I need 4 tablespoons of honey. I should have been heating my spoon up. I should have had it lay on this. That would have been easier. Because honey certainly lets go of a warm spoon more than it does just a room temperature spoon. And again, you can always add more of any of these spices or seasonings or the honey and stuff that you want. You just can't add less. So don't put too much in there at first. But I think this should be pretty close to what I think tastes best. But it may not be what you think tastes best. Okay, we need 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And I'm going to pour it over this and not over the slow cooker, because what if I pour it over the edge? Then I can't take it out. And there's 1. And there's 2. And this is the kind of lemon juice that I'm using. I keep this in the refrigerator all the time. We actually, you know, when I bought this bottle, I thought, we'll never go through all that. Yeah, we go through it faster than I thought we would. All right, so I'm going to scoot all my stuff out of the way, and I'm going to use my immersion blender to get this all chopped up. I know Zoe. Zoe thinks she's being left out. She thinks there's something in here she needs. And this is what this looks like, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with. And I'll plug my immersion blender in right here. I have plug mold on both sides of my island, so it's easy access. Somehow I probably knew 20 years ago when I had that put in that I'd be doing something where I'd need to have access to plugs all over the place. Okay. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can always put this just by little sections of it at a time, or little portions of it at a time in a regular blender. Now notice I didn't peel my apples. I didn't add any water to this. This is just strictly juice from the apples. Now I have some fresh pineapple juice. I cut up a fresh pineapple the other day and we've eaten it, but I had the juice left over, so I have it just in case I need to add a little bit more liquid to this. You see how this looks like when I'm doing this. This is what the underside of an immersion blender looks like. You have the shield to prevent the blade from obviously scraping against the bottom of your pan, but it has that blade in there, and let me tell you, it is sharp. If you like chunky applesauce as opposed to, or apple butter as opposed to smooth apple butter, just leave some chunks in it. That's all there is to it. This is easy, easily customized. All right, I'm going to put this back down here so I can get this smooth. All right, I think I have this smooth. If not, I can always turn the immersion blender on again. Okay, now to give this a taste, and I'll use my spoon that had the cinnamon on it. Look how pretty this looks. Okay, taste test awaits. Yum. Okay, that's pretty perfect right there. If anything, I'd probably add maybe just a touch more salt to it. I may do that, but I don't think it needs anything else in that. So we are going to put these in jars. Now the jars, you want to leave a little headspace, and these go right into my freezer. I am surprised. I'm actually shocked at how long this keeps good in the refrigerator. I've had it up to 6 months in there, and I expect to open it up and go, ah, ding diddly, it's got mold all over it, I gotta throw it. But it does not. And it may be the honey that is preserving it that well, because I know honey keeps pretty much indefinitely. Never throw honey away. But this stuff is so good, it's not gonna last long enough for you to have to worry about it going bad. So if you want to half this recipe, just do a portion of this recipe, just use the same ingredients over here. If you're allergic to one of these, by all means leave it out and just add something else. If you don't want cinnamon or allspice in there, you can use, I think it's cardamom that sometimes I replace that with. I have a friend who is allergic to cinnamon, and so I usually put cardamom in things that's for her. But anyway, that is our apple butter, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get it put in some jars. Okay, gotta hurry, my husband just pulled in the garage. All right, I have this, all these jars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my little one. I'll take this over next door to Maddie so she can have some apple butter. Anyway, recipe is in the description. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to sharing something again with you real soon. I added more salt. This was fabulous. This is so fabulous. You're gonna be hooked on apple butter now. See ya.